Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So today we're doing a reading in regards to ego. So I couldn't get a deep message on what specifically about ego, but it may be talking to how ego is holding you back in like a high, like overused form, and then maybe how it's holding you back in a low, I guess, respecting form. But first of all, I did want to read a little message I got from one of my guides. So I'm going to read this to you as well. This is a message that was for me, but I feel like it's a nice message for everyone. Everyone out there who kind of wants I guess, a message from the higher realms, let's say. So I'll read this to you. It says, "Hello, dear loved one. You are like a ray of sunshine in this life. Your light will be forever, as this particular consciousness portion will go on after the body is gone. Please go out and support those who do not have a voice. Stand in your power and ensure others stand in theirs in turn. Your emotions are leveling up. Well done." It was just like a little quick, not really channeling. I guess in a way it is, but I guess you would call it automatic writing. So really interesting, and I always found it pretty interesting doing automatic writing because I was like, is this my mind saying this kind of stuff? Am I just making it up? And then I read it and I'm like, do I speak to myself in a loving and genuine way a lot of the time? Not that deep, because to me that's very fluffy and deep. So that's how I know it's definitely from, external sources or something like that, something else. All right, so thank you for listening to that. But we'll get into the reading today. So I'm going to pick 4 piles. Okay, you definitely want to come out. I'm going to go with these cards. I did give these a good shuffle before I start streaming. I was waiting for the light to disappear. There's a bit of shine of light coming through. Okay, so we're going to start with pile 1. So for pile 1, you've got Rhodochrosite, service, contentment, healing emotional wounds, and renewal of passion. Okay. So for pile 2, you have earth, abundance, fertility, harvesting, and logic. For pile number 3, you have Labradorite, shamanic journeying, brave, magical power, higher awareness. Okay. And for pile number 4, you have the black Tourmaline with protective, anxiety relief, aura cleansing, and self-belief. Okay. So I'll leave these here for you to tap into your intuition. Pick whichever piles are calling to you. More than one is absolutely fine. I'll leave timestamps down below. We'll get into the shuffling process next, and I will see you in your reading. Hello everyone, welcome to the shuffling portion of the video. It's a really interesting array of cards coming through. I can kind of already start tapping into each one and thinking, oh, this is where this ego portion kind of talk to is going to come from. And when we're talking about ego, we're not talking about killing anything, destroying, removing. It's just an understanding. I think if you can come from a place of acknowledgement and appreciation, then you're already ahead of the game with regards to how to deal with it, or what benefit does it have in your life listening to ego, or how can you utilize those words to propel you forward, right? Okay, so message for each pile in regards to ego. Okay. So I've just pushed them up a little bit to make room. Doing that one. Okay. So just so you know, these cards have already been shuffled. I've put my intentions into this, so that's why they're coming out really smoothly, actually. I'm feeling this one. Now these ones can be read reversed, so we'll see what comes through. So message of ego, please. You want to go there? And same with these ones can be reversed as well. Doesn't make them better or worse, it just has a slightly different, I guess, approach to the meaning of the card. Okay. It's like a card in here, there we go. Right, and then a couple of tarot cards. My energy feels really hyped for this reading because I haven't had the internet for about a week because I said that my internet had been cut off, but they didn't really believe that. And 2 or 3 days later, they called to say that it had been disconnected, which is what I said in the first place, right? But you know, sometimes I guess you have to go through a process of like getting over your own ego to realize that one, that I couldn't change how they believed or perceived this particular situation. They also had to get over their own kind of ego of like, you know, thinking they knew what was happening. Because to be fair, I could have been wrong. Just wasn't in this particular case. Now, some of these will come out reversed, but I do intend to read these upright. So a message on ego, please. Okay. Those ones. Okay. So hopefully I'll have the internet back, but today I was like, oh no, I won't be able to listen to music. But I'm actually listening to some old music when I was in my early 20s, so probably about 16 years ago. So it's a mixture of some 2000s, also some 90s music, because while I was young, I still remember the 90s pretty well. Definitely a different time. What I'm doing right now wouldn't happen, right? Wouldn't be a possibility. And I wouldn't have done this anyway because I was definitely more in my logical mind, more so than anything spiritual at all. But, you know, different days, different life, different way of viewing the world. But anyway, here are your piles, everyone. So feel free to go down below, click on your pile, which is calling to you, and take care of yourself. I'll see you in your reading. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading today. So you've chosen the Rhodochrosite, which has the message of service, contentment, healing emotional wounds, and renewal of passion. Such a beautiful, like, crystal, right? So pretty and vibrant. Red is such an interesting color in kind of like the wild, right? It's generally in maybe flowers and some things. Algae blooms, potentially, as well. But it's just such a bright and vibrant color. So we'll see how this relates to your reading. Remember, this is in regards to ego. So it's not going to be anything like telling you off or anything like that. It's going to be talking to, maybe about, maybe identifying how to work with, how to, you know, interpret the messages of why it's coming through. Where does it come from? Something like that. This was left really open. I was trying to get more details and they were just like, no, this is enough information. You'll be able to read it. So I'll take that as good faith that I'll be able to read this. Okay, so you've got Spider Spirit with Make Your Dreams Real. Really interesting with renewal of passion. When I saw this, I was thinking emotional wounds and renewal of passion, and I think they play hand in hand. And now we've got make your dreams real. So it's already feeling like one thing attaches to another thing attaches to another. So it's like it's not this like this feeling kind of comes from here, right? Which is like a particular person in your life, let's say, for example. But it's deeper than that. It's actually from this to this to this, and it looks like it's this person, but really it's down here. This is the, let's say, root of the issue. And this person's triggering it, but it's not because of them necessarily, it's because of something way down the line, which is blocking you from either healing or expressing yourself in a particular way that's true to you. So doing something that you really wanted to, living in the life that you feel called to. Okay, so you've got conscious steps, considered action, and looking forward. This is reversed as well, so I'm going to take that as that. And it's like the spider with the web, you know, how it vibrates too, and then they know something is, tapping the web or caught in their web, so they can go, check it out, I guess, or do their spider thing. And I feel like this is almost being cautious is great, but overly cautious or like too conscious of each situation is almost holding yourself back in some way. Because it's almost like the ego saying, oh, remember when this happened or something like this happened? If you rush into this, it could happen again. So it's almost like the ego's being overprotective almost, and I guess you could read it as holding you back in some way. It's like reminding you cannot do something when you have full potential, full capability. It's like your passions, your dreams are as limited as you set that limit. So if you set it as being infinite potential, then it's infinite. If you set it as very low, like you can only get this far in your mind, then that's exactly what your ego is saying. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is the limit. So you've reached it. So slow down, stop, consider everything. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you've got Sea Goddess of Creativity with fresh creative joy right next to here. And again, touching on renewal of passions. This is something that's not external of you. You've already got it. Whether you've studied it, whether you've experienced it, practiced it, whatever. I feel like you've already got the goods, let's say, to be able to move forward with whatever this is. Whether it's a hobby, a passion, a career change, something like that. Because it's almost like make the best out of this opportunity, this life, right? It's all good and well being safe, but when do you see it as being overly protective, overly cautious of your life or your energy? Okay, because now service is kind of clicking in. It's like there's more be of service to yourself so you can be to others, or be of service to yourself right now is important. Okay, so you also have the acupressure mat. The messy heritage, no, this too shall pass. So it's like this feeling of whatever this is about. So what I'm trying to say is like whatever this, because it's going to be specific to you, right? So whatever is holding you back and saying you can't do something, it's not going to be so, I guess, heavy once you identify where the web ends, right? Where the spider ends in the web of being the kind of cause of this. Where did it come from? Did it come from anything in this life? Did it come from some other life? Is it real? Is it real in your reality right now? Is the particular situation happening right now in your reality? Because if it's not, then it doesn't have to impact you directly because it's not something from this time, this moment in time. Okay, it says quiet. Hard to read. It says quiet in the body, calm the mind. Quiet in the body, calm the mind. And I think this is also kind of making me think of like, acupressure mats have that kind of like pressure, obviously the pressure, but they touch on pressure points and they can kind of sometimes hurt, right? So it's almost like pushing through something, pushing through the challenge, pushing through the pain. If you can get over one hurdle, the rest becomes so much easier. So it's like this too shall pass because you've got it over the first, you've taken the first step, right? And so the rest will just roll forward because it's like being at the top of the hill, and it's like that first step over will be like a roll-on effect. Okay, and you also have Sachiel, which is a really interesting one because here she is divinating, right? She's trusting her intuition. There's also like this very natural background with, I think they look like buffalo, I guess, like bison as they're called in America. And even this pomegranate, it's reminding me of a different card I have in we'll see if you get it as well, but in the Modern Love Tarot, there's this, the High Priestess card. She has pomegranate, and I think there's probably a meaning. You might want to look up the spiritual meaning of pomegranate, but it's just making me think of the High Priestess as well, that intuitive power, and she's using that as well because she's divinating. But she's also not just relying on the cards to tell her what to do. She's looking into them, trying to see every best possibility, and then going forward. So it's like this, cautious, right? But then taking the step not to hold you back. What an interesting reading when we're talking about ego. Not really where I thought this would go. Okay, so you've got the Seven of Cups showing you that there's many options in this life. There's many paths to take. Does that mean you have to do all of them? No. Does it mean you have to do any of them? No. There's 7 here, but you could have like a 10th or 11th one that you want to explore in this life. So it's seeing that while our limiting thoughts help with protecting us, at some point, if the situation isn't, or if the event isn't happening around us anymore that put those limits in place, then it's not for you to have to let that, I guess, be a block for you anymore. You also have Justice. There was something I read about Justice card today. I was looking at it and I was like, why am I reading so deeply into Justice? But I think it was really in regards to not just doing what's right and around you, maybe something that wasn't fair occurred in the past, right? And that still has an impact. But I think viewing it as like, is that happening in my reality right now? Is that person or that situation still happening? Because if it's not, it doesn't have to be something that impacts your now. And also the song playing is Thanks for the Memories. It's an old school one. But even that's like, it's kind of like saying, thanks, now I've got all this still in my head, right, from the past. But whether we hold on to it or not is up to us. You also have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands is interesting because this one, you can see she's got a lot going on, right? She's holding a lot of stuff. But when there's like books and all these other things, why is she holding the sticks? So it's like, I think it's like a reevaluation of what you really need to hold on to. What do you need to, like, are these necessary in this moment? Maybe if she was starting a fire, fine. But it looks like she's more doing business. So why hold sticks? Why have this on your shoulders while you're focusing on other things? So I think it's more of like a prioritization. And then lastly, you have the Three of Wands. So maybe in this point in time, ego is being looked at, or even passing through a message of how to work with ego. It's like, hey, let this be a time to slow down, or just not stop exactly, but just be mindful. Like this cautious steps reverse, be mindful so that do I still want to go in this particular direction? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Because this feels like a recalibration. Like she's looking at her stone tablet, right? And she's like, okay, this is the direction I want to go in now. Maybe in the past I was being pulled into like different things because of past conditionings, but what do I really want? That's probably something to ask yourself. What do I really want right now? What can I do? What's limiting me? What's from the past wasn't fair, but what's in my reality right now? Is this true right now? Or has this already passed? And maybe do I need to review it and look into it again if it's still going to impact me in some way? Because it's easier said than done, right? This is all very well. But there's so much more within. Talking about dreams and creative joy. Maybe something did hurt you emotionally, right? Emotional wounds are not always physical. Maybe for some that might be physical as well. But the long-term effects are generally emotional. So how do you find your peace? Identifying the root cause is one way. Also being truthful and honest with yourself. Is this impacting me right now? What options do I have in my life? Like truly. Because you could have 50 options, right? But if none of them really call to you, maybe there's a different way of viewing things, or maybe you take one path and later on recalibrate and switch it up. So it's like this leads to here, and then I feel like this will lead to where I actually want to go, but at least it's a path to there. Do you know what I mean? There's always a way to get to where you are called to be, let's say. I think that'll help you here, because this is usually external. So I think even if the internal is balanced, the external in turn becomes balanced. Or at least working towards that. It doesn't have to mean that everything is perfect and even. It's just centered, let's say, so you can move forward with confidence instead of questioning. Because this might be a time to stop, think for a moment, and then run forward, or at a steady pace, move forward. I feel like it's all in your hands. Like she's got the cards in her hands. She's got all the tarot cards in her hands. So there's even this reading is like all this is in your hands, is in your capability to move beyond it, to step into your path that you want to take. Not not someone telling you what your purpose is. You living your truth, which is your purpose. Whatever you choose is your purpose, right? So it's also touching on meditation, and it's kind of like, for me, it's almost like hey, this is what I do, and so I'll talk to it. Like before I start reading, I calm my mind. I generally try to move my head into my away, not away, but it's hard to explain. It's like moving my racing mind aside, and then thinking from my heart space, not from my center, from the center of my being, more so than from the mind that flicks things all over the place. And then I start reading. So it's like, mindfulness, then reading. So mindfulness, then looking into it and being honest, not judgmental, just honest with what's occurring around you. Because it's all open. It feels like, this is all open to you when you're ready, right? You can't do it at a time that you're not ready. You have to, there's no pushing. Like, when I mean pushing, I mean like really, really fighting or conflicted about it. It's when you're ready, but if you know you're ready and your ego's kind of holding you back, that's when you know you're still ready. Still go forward with it. There's no rushing. It's just at a steady pace, not at a something that holds you back. Okay, but that's what I see in your reading today, partner one. So thank you for letting me read for you. Really nice. It's like, hey, the world's your oyster kind of feeling with this reading, with the spider coming out with make your dreams real. It's about conceptualizing and then living it. So it's like what's in your mind is in your field of view, let's say. But anyway, I'll see you in the next reading. Take care of yourself. Hello, part number 2. Welcome to your reading. I think I said number 2. Welcome, pile number 2. So today you've chosen the Earth with abundance, fertility, harvesting, and logic. So you have chosen the only one that's come out as an element. Super interesting when we're talking about logic, right? Sometimes we think our ego is pushing us in the logical direction, and it makes sense. But ego is interesting and tricky. So we'll see how this comes through to you and what kind of message is coming through, either from your ego, about your ego, and how to work with, or what it's reminding you of. Okay, so you've got the porcupine spirit with time for beginner mind, and it is reversed, which is interesting, especially with, again, I knew logic was going to be a part of this. Beginner mindset is like, hey, just a reminder that if you go in with an open mind, you can learn more. But when it's reversed, it's feeling like, are you already assuming you know everything, right? And you might even say to yourself, no, I don't know everything, and I never say that. But do you feel it? It might be about something in particular. We'll have a look at the rest of the cards, but I think it's going to come up with that. Because this is where our logic blinds us as well. Our logic may blind us, because it's like, well, we can't see it visually, so how do we know it's real? And it's like, well, do you see electricity? Do you see the atmosphere? That kind of thing. You can see the stars, but have you actually gone up to one and seen, like, touched one? All these outer planets. We've seen, certain things, but have you touched them? So, if we thought overly logically, we would believe in only the kind of our field of view, and that's it. I don't know why that needed to come out like that, but that's how it came out. Okay, so we've got confusion, many choices, and uncertainty. So we've got past, known, unknown, future, maybe, perhaps. Right, see how this is going to come along. You also have Seahorse Spirit with create the unexpected. This might be where this helps. Letting go of not just your logical mind, because we're not really replacing one for the other, right? I feel like everything is about balance. And just before I did your reading, I was thinking of someone that was kind of, I guess, irritating in some sense, right? And so I had to, before I started this reading, I had to move not that person out, but I needed to look at it from a heart center and, release it with love, release that feeling towards that person with love, just before I did that. And I think this is kind of coming through now with being open to, hey, what's the harm in releasing this? Why do I hold on to this? Is it blocking? Am I limiting myself from my opportunities or choices? Am I thinking so logically that I'm not going with my heart and what really calls to me? Because this create the unexpected is almost like doing something that's outside of your norm. And it might be something that you feel within it that's correct, but maybe to other people external, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. But it's so true to who you are. Does that make sense? Because it's like this confusion is only clouded by ego. Or like materialism, how we're very caught up in our own kind of value by what we have or how much something costs, rather than who we are and what love we bring to ourselves in the world. Very cute. So you've got Maitri, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. It says, open yourself to others. Very true. Open yourself to others. Open yourself up. It says, may all beings be happy and free. And that includes you. It says here, kindness echoes into the soul of the universe. I like this. It's I think it's really touching on being so prickly or rigid with yourself, kind of like how the seahorse here is really spiny. Porcupine obviously spiny, and earth is earth element, and even sometimes people see earth signs as very rigid or structured, which is has its benefit. There's always a light and a shadow with each star sign, right? There's always a huge release in some of them, and then sometimes in the shadow there might be how would I put it? Challenges in those sort of senses, whether that's from what other people perceive and what you have inside. So this is all about not just changing the logic, but also changing how you treat yourself in a way, and what kind of energy are you putting out into the universe, because that'll help clear this confusion. You've also got Cassiel, This feels so much like the Temperance card in a way, with the water pouring. It is also lots of natural surroundings. So this might be getting back to the core of who you are. I think ego is kind of coming through to remind you that it's here to kind of pull you into survival mode, like your lower kind of, not lower isn't bad, but lower as in lower energies or lower vibration kind of energies, because that's where we are, right? We are on this kind of lower vibration plane right now, even though I think a lot of people are talking about this transition to a higher vibration. And be that as it may, we're still here, we're still on the earth, so we have to deal with what kind of earthly things we have. But this is getting back to the core of who you are. That's how that's feeling. Okay, very nice. Okay, so you have the Four of Pentacles. And I think, again, Pentacles, Earth, it's breaking out of this I already know what's right for me energy. But I think if you just stop and ask, are you living your truth? Do you feel called to what you're doing? Is there anything you want to explore? I think that'll start to open up the idea of like a beginner mindset of being like open to more possibilities than what you're experiencing. Oh, I love this. And then the Chariot coming through, and as you can see, it just feels like marching forward at a steady pace, because the Chariot isn't about rushing or anything, and even these two dogs aren't, they're not rushing off into any kind of anything. They're not running off anywhere. They're doing it at a pace, so it's definitely a time to consider opportunities, and you don't have to go off really quickly. The Chariot, even though it's moving, it's still like slow. It's not like any of the knights, like any of the horses, but it's still moving, right? It's still on a path of self-discovery, discovery within life itself. Oh, what was I saying with Temperance coming out right next to each other? This is definitely like inner and outer balance. Because sometimes we feel really balanced when we're like connecting with like, it's not grounding, but like when we're living on Earth in a way that's very earthly, let's say, living by our culture. Whether that's like, I can only speak from my own culture, but it's like, and living in the West, right? So it's like Western societies is very much success is based around your education, your house, your family, that kind of thing, and like, I'm not saying any of those are wrong, but there's more to it than just external gratification brings internal. I feel like it's shifting to more internal brings external gratification, or even just internal brings internal gratification. So it feels more of true to what this message is talking about. And even here, it's showing again baking bread, which is not something a lot of people do. Probably baking a cake, right? I'm not sure, but working together with others, and even this little herb thing here is like getting back to nature, getting back to what calls you in. And nature in our modern society doesn't have to be going outside into a park or anything like that. That would be great, but even having like a little herb garden and feeling that connection with nature, I feel like that's really something that's kind of coming through here. Okay. And you also have the Hanged Man. This feels like the story of life with this tree here. And I think really here it's like he's not, he's not sleeping, but he's not resting the right way, like the normal way you would lie on a pillow, right? He's upside down. So I think it's like almost like, hey, like, crazy idea. What if in a crazy world you weren't just going along this path that you're on? What if you were able to do what actually was calling to you, or whatever was feeling right for you in this moment? And it doesn't have to be a fight. I think for some reason I'm getting like a hint of, okay, but if I did this, I would have to like attack this person and then do that, and then that way I'd be able to keep going. It's like, no, give yourself some time to like think about how this needs to change or would look like, because it doesn't have to be a blow up. You don't have to like, set the room on fire or burn the bridge or whatever. It's got to be right for you. It can't be told by anyone else. This has to be taken from a very balanced perspective. And the Hanged Man, generally quite spiritual, is an awakening or an enlightenment saying, or transition, let's say, a shift in mindset, shift of perspective. I think awakening has like a bit more loaded energy with it. So it's not like you're awakening. It's more like you're just coming to an understanding or a shift in perspective. That's really how this looks. And then it's like, move towards that truth, move towards what's going to help you in your daily life and how your ego works. So I think your ego isn't anything terrible. It's just focused on these kind of like set things. And while those set things are great, there is always something else that can be gained as well, while maybe taking bits of energy from each one so you can add a fourth or a fifth or something else you want to experience in this life, because it doesn't have to be so black and white, left or right or wrong. Whatever path you choose is right for you. Whether this reading changes that or not, it's fine. It's just something to consider, that's all. But I think being a beginner mindset is always a good thing, no matter what you do. It's kind of like if I was going to a particular event that I was like, I don't think this is something for me, right? They're talking about things that I don't really care or want to know about, but I'm here. It's either that or I sit and, I don't know, do nothing for a while, which might be great as well. But let's just say that this is, I may as well open up to this and have a look. I can go in thinking with my own kind of like worldly knowledge and be like, no, this is wrong, and not actually listen and consider. At the end, you can say, that was not for me. But, just being that open mind helps you, I guess, absorb as much resonating information that comes through. And that's what I see in your reading pile number 2. So thank you very much for being here. You've picked the Earth card, very interesting, very strong, very grounded. So much more out there for you if you choose to take it. If not, that's absolutely fine as well. You can keep your pentacles close to you. But that's what I see in your reading. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading today. So you've chosen the lovely Labradorite. Really interesting. Someone I watch, I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, he uses or works with his Labradorite as part of his channeling. So he channels his guides that come through and, talks, asks, people ask questions and he'll answer, whatever higher kind of realm answer they have for them. But the Labradorite has the message of shamanic journeying, which feels like just a journey of healing, right, in certain aspects. Brave, magical powers, higher awareness. That higher awareness kind of comes through with that channeling ability too. So super interesting that's coming through. He channels the Z's. Some of you may know him. I can't remember his name. He's a British guy. Lee. I think his name's Lee. You might want to do Lee channeling Z's. I guess Z-E-E or just Z. And have a look at that, because maybe there's some message in there. His messages are really nice, right? I only take all the time with whatever it is. Even my own readings, I take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Okay. So let's take a look at your ego and how this message can help with your energies, right? Your message. Okay, so you've got Wasp with sometimes life stings, really touching on that shamanic journeying. Wasp is also like something small that has a big impact, right? Because if you've ever been stung by a wasp, and I'm assuming especially if you are allergic, but even if you're not, it still hurts. It doesn't matter if you're, well, it does matter if you're allergic, but it still hurts regardless is where I'm coming from. Interesting. It's so interesting with this because it's almost feeling like, hey, the achievements, the completion, the rewards that you get sometimes, you're not really either celebrating them or feeling like that your wins because of something to do with ego. You're not celebrating each time you put yourself out there, or even whether you win or not. It's like the idea of putting yourself out there, and even being a reverse is almost like feeling like you failed, and therefore the ego holding on to that mindset. We'll see how the rest of the cards come through, but I feel like that's important, and now to stop and then keep going. So I'll come back to it. This is interesting. We've got the Sea Queen spirit with honor animal souls. Interesting. I think I need to read this one. I'm going to read this now, actually. I left the book out knowing I would be reading at some point, and I think it's now. So, sounds quite simple, right? Honor animal souls. It's like being grateful for, like, if you eat meat, for the sacrifice they gave, I guess, willingly or not, right? But also your pets, that kind of thing, or just being in touch with nature. But I'm going to read this one here. It says, be aware of the animal empire that surrounds you. And we're talking about even the small things. Listen to the subtle messages from creatures you come across. Honor your spirits of all animals, both dead or alive, to learn more about yourself. Really, really, really true. Because while it's hard losing our, animal friends, our fur family, being able to provide them the life that they had, or at least, doing what you could for them in their life, beginning to end, is something to be proud of. Like, be mindful of. Remember the quality time that you had together. Interesting. Okay. So you've got Sri Yantra with Fulfill Your Destiny. This says, the sacred instrument holds cosmic powers that can help you fulfill your worldly desires. It's a little message here too. It says, Divine Mother, source of all power. This is kind of saying, like, the events of the past have built you up to who you are. So your ego can be a reminder of, like, it can be like, hey, do you remember when this happened, how bad you felt, etc., etc. So you can be like, oh yeah, that was bad, maybe I should hold back or pull back. But then it also be like, oh yeah, you can see it in a different perspective. Same event, same you. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. That wasn't great, but I got over that. This truth in front of me right now is nothing as complicated as that was. I can easily do this. And Kamiel coming through. I do like this because it's coming off like very Native American. I wouldn't have a clue what any tribes are, being from just my small island in New Zealand. But yeah, it does come across very Native American. So it's like this chieftain and all these wings. It's like opening up to the heavens almost. Again, getting in touch with nature. Look at all the animals here. The wolf, the horse, these, I'm guessing either hawks or eagles. And again, shamanic journeying coming through. This is a part of your healing. I'm assuming you're on a healing journey from certain aspects of life that have impacted you in a profound way, let's say. But even just starting that journey or taking the 25th step on that journey, celebrate each thing, be grateful to yourself about how strong you are and how brave you are. If you skipped the message at the start of me drawing the cards, there was a message from my guide to me, but I felt like it was a message for all. Really look at that. Yep, because you got the 7 of Pentacles. It's like, it takes time, right? All good things take time is a good saying, and I think in this is very true. It takes time. So whenever you have the time to stop and like water the garden, view the, like look at how far you've come, how much you've grown. I think this is really where the ego comes in, because it's like it came from this particular event. Obviously, well, not obviously, but it's probably not something that's in your life right now. Or if it is still there, it's not the same as what it was when you were here because you've grown from it. Or, yeah, I feel like you've grown from it is the right way of saying it. But you will get your time in the sun, I want to say. But sometimes the end result isn't the great finish, right? The great solution. It's the growth along the way. Okay, I love this because it's like 7 to 8 different different suits. We got pentacles to wands, but it is like it just works so well because it's like the 7 is the waiting till the time is right, and then going forward with those ideals, either when it's in regards to learning, whether it's in regards to connecting with your true magical power, source energy, with your source. This was talking about divine feminine. What was it saying again? Divine feminine. Oh, sorry, divine mother, source of all power. Okay. And this feels like almost like a very divine kind of masculine feeling. So it's like the balance between attraction and progression, like forward thinking, and also the stability and the understanding, the balance, internal, external. Like there's so many plays here. Literally this, like yin and yang balance. Okay. I think I kind of quickly saw it and then went back to this and then came back to this. So yeah, this is again touching on being able to juggle like certain things. Like sometimes it's even talking to me, for some of you, about where do I spend my money right now? Is it worth buying this because I want it? Do I need it? Is it going to help me? Or can I just put it off for a couple of weeks and then get it? If you've already put it off a couple of weeks and a couple of months or years even, you know, maybe you want to go get it, go get it. You know, this is your pentacles to balance. But again, it can be talking about party and play. So not party and play, sorry, that is not the right way of saying it, but making sure you are playing and also you know, having time with people and partying to balance the kind of stresses of either work or everyday life or things like that. So getting life into balance. Okay, and you finish off with the Fool. This could be a whole lot of healing and bravery and journeying, so you can get to something new and different and going straight forward with that. Whether that's finding a new loved one, right? A partner, looking for a romantic or intimate relationship. I think intimacy is really where it's at with this reading. I know it's touching on so many little things, but I think the small things are the greatest power, I guess. It's like the small step that you've taken is actually what looks like a small step for maybe some people or even to you, but it's such a big step really. Because if you're taking a small step up the mountain, you get to the top, right? It doesn't have to be a big leap. It's you're there. And then when you're going back down the mountain, it's like one step helps do the next and next and next. So it's like that crossroads or turning point. I want to say that your ego specifically is talking to the past for sure, and it's really saying that this is growth, this is progression. Every step out from that past mindset is something to be celebrated in every small way. Nature, animals, looking back, and not to look back to relive, but looking back to show your progress is such a big thing. And you're getting better and better at your internal balance and also your external balance, it feels. And I think that'll open up new doors to going forward in the direction that you wanted to take. It's almost like this has been like a slight detractor, and then it's like, bam, back on track, let's say. go off to the new you and living in a new way. It can be just a new perspective of how you move in the earth, on the earth. Okay. That's exactly what I see in your reading today. So I really hope that's helped. Thank you so much for being here. Please take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, part number 4. Welcome to your reading today. So you've chosen Black Tourmaline. This has a message of protective, anxiety relief, aura cleansing, and self-belief. All right, so we'll see how this comes through with regards to this message around ego. Okay, Black Tourmaline is so interesting too, coming through and around to ego, because it feels like I'm seeing like an imagery of, for probably a majority of the viewers for this pile, but it's like the Black Tourmaline being this, let's say, item that is drawing some of the shadowy aspects of ego out of you, so you can see what's left and what's actually true and what's real. Because that's how I think it clears up some of the stuff and shows, you know, the strength of who you are without this kind of layer of protective BS, let's say. Okay. So you've got the Stag Spirit would take the lead. This is reverse, so it's almost like feeling of not really being in control. Okay. Oh, this is actually kind of cute. You've got personal guides with guardian angel, spirit family. Okay, this is definitely saying if you communicate with your guides and things like that, they're not going to be here to tell you how to live your life, because your life is yours to live. They're here to guide. They want you to take lead and take control. And if you don't, that's okay. Just know, like when I say if you don't think that, if you don't communicate with your guides, let's say through whatever spiritual mean, right? That's okay. They're just reminding you that they are here. They're here for you, whether it's your ancestors or guardian angels or spirit guides or what have you. They're here to support you with whatever you choose, whatever you decide to do. They will, whatever you're kind of working towards, they'll pave the way for the smoothest as it can be. In the end, you take responsibility for the choices that you make, is how they want to also come across. All right. So you got Sea Goddess of Momentum with consistent communication. I like that this is momentum because this is moving forward. This is helping you get to the places you actually are wanting to be. And they'll pave the way, and it's almost like they want to say, we'll pave the way for you. Whether you take it or not is your choice. So whatever happens, take responsibility for the actions you take as well, is like how it's coming through. Almost like a little bit sassy, but it's coming from a very pure way. It's not to say that you're not doing anything. There's no inflection or insinuity about like assumptions about anything. They're just stating they're just making particular points, and that's it. And how you perceive them is whatever you attach to them, but it's not what they're saying. They're just saying the words that are coming through my mouth, I guess, as I translate them. But consistent communication, this is like internal as well as external. Okay, so you also have Matariki, which is this is actually a in New Zealand, because I'm from New Zealand and I'm also Māori, so people in New Zealand, or native people in New Zealand, kind of celebrated the time of Matariki, which was like a time of like, whether, depending on if they could see this constellation, I can't remember what it is. What does it say it on here? Is it Sirius? Oh, Palladian. Yeah, the Seven Sisters. So this is the Pleiades. So Pleiades star constellation, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, it was like a time of harvest. It was to show that whether it would be a good harvest or not. They probably say it in here anyway. I could have read it. Oh, that was actually June. I probably missed that public holiday, but there you go. It is also now a public holiday in New Zealand. But it says here, look up to the heavens at night for a sense of renewal. And it says here, start something new. It says here, renewal, rebirth, and reflection. So it's like, it's okay to shift, change, even if it's like something that was very different to where you were going. But if it's in line with what your gut says or your intuition or what you feel at a core level, then take that as a sign of truth. Ooh, you've also got the Shekinah. And the Shekinah is kind of like in Jewish, what do you call it, religion. She's kind of like the feminine aspect of God, if you want to say it like that, or feminine aspect of the universe or source, however you want to put it. But she is like the, I guess, mother of mothers, let's say, like the divine feminine, or if you want to, from the tarot, like the, what card would you say? Empress, like an Empress card. So it's almost like, you know, the whole world is here for you to create what you want. This is something new, creating what you want. And talking the talk and now walking the walk kind of feeling. Or attracting that that energy that you want in your life. Being open to it. Checking out the messages that your guides are sending you, whether that's like particular insects, animals, that kind of thing. However that relates to you, right? Okay. We'll keep going. Yeah, you've also got the Fool right next to start something new. You know, what else do you say about that? And you've also got the Wheel of Fortune. So my intention, just, I know you saw them both flipped reverse. My intention was to read them upright, regardless of their position. So while I read these two, if they come through reverse, this tarot, I stick with the upright meanings. And you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So it's like, good luck is to like, what is that saying? But it's like, it's not nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's more like luck comes through those who go for it. Go get it, right? Start that new thing. You can't gain anything by not doing something, right? That's how it feels. But here is like conceptualize what that looks like and then go forward with it. Also got the Four of Cups. What are you going to lose? Like you might have many things in your life, many blessings, right? But the external isn't going to fulfill the internal. And just like here, there's like a whole party going on, but she does not look like she's enjoying her time. And it's not like you're probably not like, well, I'm not exactly like that, but I think it might be time for a boost, let's say, and even your ego, I feel like, is really on point with like being, hey, I'm not just here to kind of hold you in place as a like overruling part of your life, right? Because our ego, our shadow and our light is all part of our life. But I'm also here to remind you of what you're capable of. And you also have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, it's really like, it's really again touching on am I in a place where I feel like I'm expressing who I am, or I am doing what I really want to do? Am I completing what I need to do? How can I get out of this mindset? Like, it doesn't have to be a big change. You don't have to go from black to white or white to black or anything like that. But you could just recalibrate, understand, give yourself the time and go forward with what something that will bring that fulfillment, let's say. And sometimes these can be interesting because you might go, oh, okay, this is it. So I go forward with it. And then it's like, that's definitely not what it was. So I step back. But then I'm like, okay, I just went and did that. I can do this. So sometimes that one thing that doesn't actually perfectly align can be almost a catalyst for the potential of the future, right? And I feel like with consistent communication is like consistent truth. I do want to read this one as well, because I don't really pull this one, consistent communication. It's an interesting kind of like, you know, thing to say. Could be communicating with partner, family, etc. But the sacred meaning here is devoted actions keep moving forward. Steadfast focus. Hang on, let me see if I'm on the right one. Yeah, I am. Okay, it's just a very interesting way of putting it. So devoted actions keep moving forward. Steadfast focus. Take good care of your mind, body. Take small actions that add up to your dreams. I think that's a really good way of putting it. Take small actions that add up to your dreams. If you take an action and it doesn't feel like it works, and blame your ancestors, guides, whatever, or the universe, it's like that is just one step of many, many, many stairs to climb. And sometimes you go this way and sometimes you go that way, and that's okay. But it's talking about keep moving forward. It says stay fueled, remain inspired, don't quit. You were meant for this. I want to say you're already living your purpose, your truth, your life path. Your ego is almost like being there to actually assist, not that word, whatever I was going to say, but it's actually there to assist you. You take lead, you move forward, you go towards your dreams, and even here, stay steadfast. Shekinah coming out here to remind you of the power of divine feminine energy, the creation, the birthing, the attraction, the internal balance or internal mindfulness, and then going forward with the external world, something new. It's all there. And if you're not feeling fulfilled, then why not take the risk and move forward with this? Why not? Really, why not? What have you got to lose? If you're already here, what's here looking? Why would here be any worse? Let's say. That's just an idea. I think that's coming from me, but more so than your message on the cards. But take whatever resonates. This is to help clear out the old, to bring in the new, and remind you of your own inner strength, while also being supported by your ancestors and guides, etc. But that's exactly what I see in your pile today, pile number 4. So thank you very much for being here. Hopefully you have a lovely week. Thank you again, and take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next reading.